Good evening. My name is Mike Imgood, and today I'm going to be giving my wrap-up individual presentation comparing the Ford Motor Company and Starbucks. Let's first compare and contrast the value discipline that each company adheres to. So to recap, there are three primary value disciplines. We have customer intimacy, product leadership, and operational excellence. When we look at Ford, they're mostly about product leadership. So innovativeness, looking to the future to see how they can innovate their product line. Open-mindedness, what is there to explore out there, different products. Investing in research and development, same kind of concept, investing their resources in determining what's next to come in the future. And a lot of this is evident in their mission statement that says people working together as a lean global enterprise to make people's lives better through automotive and mobility leadership. So that's really evidenced in that mission statement. When we look at Starbucks, their value discipline really comes down to customer intimacy. So the customer is king, and they focus on building loyalty and empowering their employees. And we really see this come to fruition in the mission statement that they have: to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. Additionally, we see this in their values. One of the values that they have on their website says, creating a culture of warmth, belonging, where everyone is welcome. So you see here how they value the customer, empowering their employees. So this is how Ford and Starbucks both take to their primary value disciplines. Now we'll compare and contrast the primary customers for each based on the market segmentation variables. So from the lectures for this semester, we can see that there's four primary segmentation variables that we have: geographic, demographic, psychographic, and behavioral. For Ford, they tailor their products not to one specific customer base, but to a wide array of customer base. And you can see this in the fuel-efficient vehicles such as the Fiesta and the Focus, which would be considered geographic and psychographic variables. On the opposite side, we have gas-guzzling vehicles that tailor to another market segment that was looking for that type of product. They also have a wide range of costs for vehicles with a lot of different packages that they can have for features, which fits into the demographic and behavioral aspects. On Starbucks' end, it's more, the customer base is more unique. So we see that they have an urban, on-the-go, with a high-spending market segment. So Starbucks coffee is not cheap. We all know this. So this is the market that they're really trying to tap into. And this would fall into the geographic and demographic market segmentation variable. And on top of that, they have technology users and health conscious professionals, and that would fall into the psychographic and behavioral aspects. For Ford, when we look at the relationships and loyalty with external customers, you see all the time that they have incentives for buying vehicles, so 0% APR financing or college student discounts. And on top of that, they have a loyalty program, which is the Owner Advantage Rewards. And you can see here that these are some of the benefits of signing up for the Owner Advantage Rewards program. On Starbucks' end, it's more about their values again, so making their customers feel welcome in the store. And that also comes down to the mobile app and the rewards loyalty program that allows users to browse available deals that Starbucks has going, and also looks to see how close they are to getting that next reward. So the stars, we talked about it in one of the case studies that we have about how customers value being able to see that. So this is just some examples of how both Ford and Starbucks handle loyalty and relationships. Looking at how each company handles AI, Ford has an interesting partnership with Vast, where they developed something called Car Story, which is a digital marketing tool that helps Ford to merchandise the used vehicles that they have on the lot. So looking at the condition and pricing, just a few of the variables they're looking at. And what they're doing here is trying to tailor the information they present on that vehicle so to sell it the best way that they can, because they know that they only have a limited amount of time with that car while it's on the lot before it just doesn't sell. Looking at Starbucks, it all ties back to the mobile application. So using user information to track purchasing habits, comparing that information with trends such as holidays, weather, and special promotions. And also, whenever we look at AI, they can make suggestions to customers based on their previous purchasing history to suggest new products in the future that they can look at. And then they also send personalized offers to rewards members. So I myself am a Starbucks rewards member, and I'm getting personalized offers all the time, and sometimes they're just too enticing to not take advantage of. So again, comparing and contrasting how both Ford and Starbucks use AI. Now looking at a event that relates to digital transformation. So at the Business Insider website that I referenced here, there's a report from July 2018 that says that Ford is trying to invest in corporate restructuring, so focusing on providing new products and services, as you can see on the slide here, to name a few. And the goal for this was to move from a product-centric company to a service-centric company. And the justification for this was they're looking towards the future, the next 10 years. What's the marketplace going to look like? And they've identified that providing the Chariot shuttle service to compete with Uber or Lyft, autonomous vehicles and electric cars is the way to go for the future. Looking at Starbucks, it's all about the mobile application, what they have called a digital flywheel based on their 4 pillars. In addition to that, they focused on trying to enhance the user app, the user traffic on their app, and they've been ramping up efforts in store to be able to handle that increased volume of sales coming from the user app. And their primary focus with this was to integrate digital with their in-store experience. Now let's take a look at how each company has handled or is organized to handle digital maturity. So we can see here, this is the definition of digital maturity. And looking at Ford, it kind of goes back to the previous slide. So they've made changes towards the future. So they've identified that there's some digital enhancements they need to make, and they're trying to restructure their organization accordingly in order to be able to meet those demands that they see coming in the future. So a lot of this comes from identifying those areas, restructuring the organization, and investing heavily in that digital transformation, and also focusing on outside partnerships in order to make sure that they don't fall behind in where they see the industry going. Looking at Starbucks, it all comes down to doubling down on the Starbucks app. So investing in enhancing that user experience, and then also revamping those stores to accommodate more traffic. So that's kind of how the organizational culture for both companies has changed in response to digital maturity. Now let's take a look at how each company uses data and analytics to make personnel decisions. So let's jump to both of these real quick. Excuse me. The research I did, I wasn't able to find a whole lot of information. So for Ford, for example, there's the psychometric test that can help determine the right candidates for the job. And on Starbucks' website, they say that they do behavioral-based interviewing. But outside of that, I was not able to find a whole lot of information. But that doesn't necessarily tell us nothing. So what does this tell us? And essentially that it kind of tells us that maybe Starbucks and Ford are not on that leading edge of being able to use analytics to make personnel decisions for hirings and stuff. And this really comes to my key takeaway for the entire presentation here, is that I think that with the lectures that we've learned about so far, that there's definitely aspects of analytics that can be used for personnel decisions. So maybe being able to identify candidates that a typical interview process may not be able to identify. And I think that this is an area that both Ford and Starbucks could take into consideration for the future. And I think that it's also something in my personal work experience that I could also look at. How could I use analytics to maybe look at situations a little bit differently? And I think that Ford and Starbucks could take that into consideration as well. With that, I conclude my presentation. On the slide here, you'll see the list of references that I used for my presentation. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you for your time.